CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
A 25-year-old California man has been deported after being arrested in the capital region on child pornography charges. Canada Border Service agents stopped Benjamin Luber when he arrived in Victoria on the Clipper ferry from Seattle yesterday. The agents say they found child pornography or evidence of it on his laptop computer and immediately turned him over to Victoria Police.
We were contacted and attended down to the Belleville Street Terminal and started our investigation there. The investigation is still ongoing, but Crown at this point has approved one count of possession of child pornography against the accused.
Upon examination of the traveler's MP3 player, suspected obscene material was discovered. This led to further examinations of his electronic goods, whereupon suspected child pornography was discovered. At that point, he was arrested. His electronics were seized.
U.S. law enforcement officials have been informed Luber has been released on bail and has been deported to the U.S. He has been released on a promise to return to appear in court in Victoria. Convicted murderer Derek Lord has been denied full and day parole once again. He is serving a life term for first-degree murder, one of three men convicted in 1990 of killing Sharon Heineman and Doris Leatherbarrow. Lord and David Muir killed the woman for a high school classmate, Darren Heineman, who wanted their inheritance. All three were convicted of killing them. Muir has been on parole since 2003. Heineman remains in custody after a 1995 escape attempt. Lord, who is now 38, has claimed his innocence throughout, but his application for parole this time, like all the others, has been denied. Victoria Police have taken more than $20,000 worth of crack cocaine off the streets after busting what they call a major drug hub in the downtown core. A 31-year-old man and 25-year-old woman, police say, were caught selling drugs from their Johnson Street condo. Police say they found a large amount of crack and heroin, $13,000 in cash. The woman's been released on a promise to appear May 9th. The man remains in custody. He will be in court tomorrow. Now, the provincial government is ready to make moves on safety improvements over the Malahat Highway. The transportation minister has scheduled an announcement on that tomorrow. And as we first reported for you a few weeks ago, it is expected that concrete barriers will be installed along various sections of the highway, and there will be upgrades to the Shawnigan Lake Road turnoff.
The issue, obviously, there has been a lot of work done towards finding a solution to some of the safety issues on that road. It will be an ongoing issue without question, but we're going to do what we can, and tomorrow's going to be a great day.
Well, the province has found the man to step into the ongoing standoff between BC teachers and the provincial government. A former president of the University of Northern British Columbia in Prince George has been named mediator in the teachers' dispute. Charles Jago will have until the end of August to reach a 2-year deal with the BC Teachers Federation and the BC Public School Employers Association. Education Minister George Abbott says Jago must stick to the province's net zero mandate, which means the settlement cannot cost the provincial treasury a dollar more.
We believe net zero has to be appropriate here, as it has been appropriate in now 130 ratified collective agreements between every public sector union in the province, with the exception of the BC Teachers Federation. So we believe the net zero mandate has to stay in, but apart from that, Charles can proceed to look at the range of issues that are identified in the bill.
Jago's salary is $2,000 per day as mediator. If there's no agreement by the end of August, Jago is expected to issue a report which will contain non-binding recommendations. BC's fishing industry and environmentalists have tested the waters and have come up with a new plan to save sensitive life on the ocean floor. The David Suzuki Foundation, the Living Oceans Society, and the bottom trawling industry have come up with new guidelines to protect sea life such as coral and sponges. The agreement defines the boundaries of the fishery, places limits on the coral and sponge bycatch, and will provide a procedure to alert skippers if a catch exceeds those limits. Those guidelines will be implemented by federal regulators. The Suzuki Foundation says it's the first time anywhere that individual bycatch limits have been used to manage the bottom trawl fishery. It looks as though West Coast tuna will be sandwiched between two competing nations this fishing season, and neither will share a bite. A cross-border fishing deal expired last year between Canada and the U.S. That means Canadian anglers will not be able to fish in U.S. waters or vice versa. The deal was inked in 1981, but was not re-signed after American fishing groups cried foul. There is an underwater sea creature crossing the ocean in search of love. The Shaw Ocean Discovery Centre is making an exchange with the Vancouver Aquarium, hoping to help find a bumbling giant a companion. This is Charlie, a 7-foot-long adult wolf eel. The Sydney Aquarium plans to exchange Charlie for 12 baby wolf eels so Charlie can find a partner for life. The aquarium says the reason it's getting so many babies is because their young love can turn a bit cannibalistic. But as eels get older, they would like to settle down and reproduce.
Out in the wild, they're thought to mate for life. So once they find a good mate, they'll find a den and they'll stay there together for the remainder of their life, which can be up to about 35 years. In captivity, though, they're known to swing a little bit. So if there's more than one option, they will stay with one female for a little while and then find another female and try to reproduce as much as they can.
When Charlie arrives at the Vancouver Aquarium next Tuesday, he'll be mingling with 2 female wolf eel adults named Betty and Veronica. If you have elective surgery scheduled over the next few days or weeks, be prepared to have it cancelled because of potential job action by BC anaesthetists. To try to circumvent the work stoppage, BC health authorities hired a law firm and issued a letter to the doctors threatening to take legal action to even suspend the anesthesiologist's hospital privileges if they do walk out. The letter asked doctors to comment by 5 tonight and not to walk off their jobs April 1st as they have threatened. The doctors are in a bitter salary dispute with the province for months. They say they'll consider withdrawing elective services if they are not given a seat at the bargaining table. Right now, the allocation of funding is done by the BC Medical Association. Well, the Nanaimo Port Authority is making a $50,000 donation to the Community Hospice Society. It is in the midst of a major capital funding campaign with a $900,000 goal. The money will be used to renovate the new hospice house in Nanaimo, which will be double the size of the current facility. The property has already been purchased. It's the former Nanaimo Montessori School on Waddington Road.
Our demand actually has increased about 3-fold in the last few years, so we really outgrew the existing hospice house that we have now. So this new project allows us not only to expand, but the important things like it's wheelchair friendly, it's close to the hospital, it's on a bus route, it allows for parking, which we don't have at our existing facility.
The campaign is a third of the way along so far. Hospice has raised about $300,000 already. The Society hopes to be in its new home by the end of this year. There's a new plan out that is intended to help seniors stay in their own homes just a little while longer. Premier Christy Clark launched the province's new Seniors Home Renovation Tax Credit program in Victoria today. That tax credit will help to cover the cost of permanent home renovations for anyone over the age of 65 or 65 and older. And that'll help them stay in their own homes much longer. The credit is available to seniors who rent or own and to family members sharing their home with a senior. The refundable credit will be worth up to $1,000 a year.
We all know from an economic perspective it's less expensive if families are able to look after each other at home. But from a quality of life perspective for senior citizens, being able to stay in your own home or in your family's home is hugely important. And we know that making sure that that quality of life is there actually helps extend people's lives longer. People live longer when they're able to stay in their home.
The renovation tax credit will be available to BC seniors starting this Sunday, April 1st. The owner of the derelict ship Dominion 1 has been given approval to tow that boat out of Cowichan Bay for good. A dispute that cropped up over fees connected to the boat threatened to sink the plans to haul it to Mexico and sell it for scrap. The Coast Guard says it is owed at least $20,000 for the work it did to tow the vessel to dock during the heavy windstorms a few weeks ago. The dock owner also wants to be paid moorage fees. The ship's owner says that fee issue will need to be settled at some point, but everyone involved agrees that right now the priority should be getting it out of Cowichan Bay. It's expected to be gone within a few weeks. An auxiliary RCMP constable from Nanaimo is getting credit for saving the life of a man from Montreal. Dave Knott and his wife Heather were riding ATVs on a beach in the Dominican Republic last week when someone came running up to them shouting in Spanish. In addition to being an auxiliary constable, Dave spent nearly a decade with Nanaimo Search and Rescue, and those skills kicked in on the Dominican beach. He scanned the water and saw 2 men in trouble. People were rushing to one man's rescue, but no one else spotted the other man.
I looked at my wife and said, I have to go.
And into the water he went.
I got close, and my swiftwater rescue training, I started calling to him to swim towards me, and he was totally unresponsive. just floating.
I actually didn't think he was going to make it.
And so I timed between the breakers and the rip and everything, opportunity to grab him and start swimming for shore. We put him in the recovery position, and the amount of water that was coming out of his nose and mouth was incredible. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
The Montreal man was taken to a local hospital following the rescue and was discharged 2 days later. His friends thanked Knott, saying he had saved his life.